What is your relationship with time? Are you wired and tired, stressed and overwhelmed, busy and going nowhere? Or just want to scale your business? Welcome to Take Back Time with your host, Penny Zenker. Penny focuses on books, strategies, tools, and tips to help you work smarter and approach your time more strategically. As a result, you can have more energy, focus, and get more done in less time. Be more efficient and effective. Get ready to take back time.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker, and today we are going to focus on really understanding how we can take back our time by appreciating what our purpose is and how that purpose will make it easier for us to do whatever it is that we are here to do and that we want to do. So I also have a great guest with us today, Keith Wayne MacGregor. He's a dear friend and also a kindred soul. He's a 30-plus year entrepreneur, so he knows his way around being in business and growing business. He works privately as a consultant and a strategist, and he helps entrepreneurs and executives to develop and achieve mission-based and wealth-building milestones. And really, at the end of the day, when we can do that, when we can be mission-based and be building wealth, the milestones towards our wealth and abundance, that is what we're here for. So, Keith, without further ado, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful to be here.
So, tell me, what's the connection with, you said there's 3 things that we're going to cover today, and we'll get to those things. But tell me, how did you come up with sort of your platform of helping people to understand what their purpose is and be more mission-based? How did that surface?
Wow, that's a great question. I wasn't expecting that as a first question, but that's perfect.
Sorry, that's why we don't script these, right? So we can just get to, wow, whatever comes up.
I love it because it really, I think, the way that it happened for me, I think, from what I observe, is very similar to how it happens for everyone. And I think what happens is people try stuff and they get attracted to things and they see if it works and they kind of look at an industry or something that catches their eye and I'm going to do that. And this will be great. I'll make millions, as the cliche goes. And then they find out later on that their heart's just not in it. And so for me, I've had different companies. Did importing from Holland and Hong Kong when I was younger in my 20s. And I've had a few different companies. And really for me, the thing that is my bliss is really the consulting and the startup entrepreneurial, why am I doing this mission-based stuff? Because in my experience, I just failed at things. I succeeded for a while, but eventually it just fizzles out. And I kind of came to that mission-based, why am I doing this, purposeful kind of language around things, just based on what wasn't working and thinking, well, why doesn't this work? And it really is the cliche, my heart's not in it. And so
good for you that you found that. How many people go along doing something that they really don't enjoy and they're doing it just because it provides a paycheck? And all the while, wouldn't they probably make more money doing something that they love just because they love it and they put their heart into it?
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you remember conversations that we had, but to this point, I was very, very young when I met Bob Proctor in Toronto. We're both from that same area. And I was, I think, about 14 years old. And I went as a guest with my father's insurance company. My dad was a life insurance salesman. And so I met Bob way, way, way back. And he was talking about Think and Grow Rich and the law of attraction and all that. And in my early 20s, I actually did what Bob was doing. He gave me copies of his books about limiting beliefs and goal setting and goal achieving. And he said, well, just go do it. We need teachers here. Just take my stuff. It's not mine anyway. And I thought, oh, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be like that. And then when I was talking about all that stuff, as great as it wasn't really me. It didn't touch me inside. It wasn't my big passion thing. Although this work is similar, I just hadn't found the exact language for me. And it wasn't about the law of attraction, which is obviously Bob's thing for decades and decades, but it wasn't mine. And so it's really about trying things on, I guess. And if you know that already, if you know that it's got to be a purposeful thing, because in our industry, I'll say, Penny, with the, human development, kind of thing. There's so much information out there, and with the media that we have now and technology, there's so many avenues of learning and coaches and programs and systems. I think a lot of people know that they have to have something purposeful and what's your bliss and different language like that. And so we never really had as much, when at least people from my generation anyway, we didn't have all the stuff that younger people have now. And so I think they know more to find what's in their heart. And we talked about this in terms of soul purpose.
Absolutely. But that being said, I just want to interrupt you for a second. Just because we know it, we also know that we're in a time where we know a lot, but we don't do what we know.
Exactly. And that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. In terms of blocks, as everyone talks about, what are your mental blocks, emotional blocks, all that kind of thing. Yeah. So for me, it's really about finding that passion, finding the language within oneself. What is my experience of self, and what do I believe I'm here to do? And you and I have talked about soul purpose in terms of spelling soul purpose SOUL or SOLE, to bring whatever your beliefs or disbeliefs are into play. I think on a human level, regardless of faith or belief, I believe that every human being has some experience of themselves that's not physical. It's our thoughts, our thinking, our desires, whatever you want to call them. And so it's all about finding the one thing above all else that we experience about ourselves in a non-physical language that says, okay, this is who I am, and I'm going to somehow bring this out in the world, practically into the world, in service to others, and to do it profitably and make a living at it. It's not.
And I just want to point out that, yes, it's possible to do all of those things, right? It's possible to be living in what you believe to be your purpose, what you're meant to do, what special gifts you have, and to make money at it, to serve others and to make money. Because there's people feel like, oh, I shouldn't be making money from that.
Absolutely.
So I just want to, what have you experienced that too, where people feel guilty about making money for a gift that they have?
Yes, especially in the entrepreneurial service world, which you and I have also talked about how ever expanding the personal life coaching business is, and how quickly in the last decade or so, millennials and so forth, I'm a coach, a life purpose coach and all that. And that's great because it shows higher awareness. But then they say, well, I haven't been around very long and people don't know me, and I'm not a Bob Proctor or a Les Brown or whoever it might be. So I really can't charge a certain amount. And talk to the marketing guys, and maybe in practice that's kind of sort of true on one level, but it also doesn't mean that you have to do yet your fourth free group coaching call. You want to do one or two, test it out, and then put value on it, because if you don't put value on it, other people won't either.
Absolutely. So that first thing that you spoke about was the thoughts of ourselves, sort of the non-physical. And then, so how do you take that? When you understand this essence of yourself and you understand, okay, here is what I feel is my purpose in life. What's the next step? What do I do with that? Or how do I get there? This is what people are thinking is well, that sounds really good. How do I find that out? And then how do I put that into practice?
Yeah, that's a great sequencing question too, because so you really can find it without hiring people like you and I. I do soul purpose uncovery as my personal language, that I help people uncover their soul purpose language is my language around that. You can work with somebody that you align with, that you feel congruency with, and do the process and uncover the language. Can also just unfold naturally, or a friend can say something to you and you might say, oh my gosh, I'm all about love, or I'm all about trust, or I'm all about compassion. Right. And it really is, what's the non-physical essence of oneself? Again, maybe overused, authenticity, but that's kind of one of my favorite words too. But what am I all about in that non-physical place? Again, compassion, trust. I had one Christian client who was all about God's love, and their essence was to bring more of God's love into the world. Okay, great. So once we find whatever that experience of non-physical self is, then we look at the life purpose statement, which there are many, many, many models out there. Jack Canfield has a great one in his book with the 63 steps. He has a success principles book, and that's great. And he has a process. So it's really about what are my skills? What's my knowledge? What are my interests? And what's the best way to take that love, trust, compassion, whatever it might be? How do I take that and make, as ironic as it may be, I love the coffee cup example. How do we go make coffee mugs and have it all be about compassion? Well, maybe you have messages and inspiration on the mug, that certain sayings or whatever. And you figure, okay, how can I make mugs and put coffee mugs out into the world, just as an example, life purpose thing? How do I do that with a team and get into a market that's already established profitably and serve people through that essence of compassion? And if we can find that, whether it's cups, whether it's art, whether it's the gaming apps or whatever your interest might be, the key is to always, 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 always come from that non-physical experience of self, because that's your template. If making the mugs doesn't help you create more compassion in the world, don't do it.
Right. If it's not bringing it across in the way that makes you happy, right? Because there's lots of different vehicles that you can spread love, or that you can spread compassion or integrity or whatever, right, is that essence. And I think sometimes people get caught up in thinking that it's got to be one way versus the other. And actually that happened for me when I moved back from living in Zurich, Switzerland. Like I was like questioning, and I was saying, what was this experience about for me? I know that spending 16 years in a foreign country, what is that and how can I use that going forward? Like, what does that mean for me? And I recognized, or I came up with from my own self-discovery and unfolded, that it's about culture and understanding where our culture has been, where it's going, seeing it from outside of ourselves, seeing different perspectives, and that I want to influence the culture.
See, and that's beautiful. And you're right. I do agree that there are a lot of people that kind of go with the trend. Like I mentioned, the gaming apps. And sometimes you go to a strategist and they'll say, oh, well, if you're all about compassion, so what we need to do, we're going to put that in a gaming app and my company can help you do that. And then you're going to have this app, and it might be something that the person has zero in.
Distractions are the enemy of productivity. Go to distractionquiz.com and find out your distraction profile. Are you a time zombie or a hamster? Take this free distraction quiz today to rate your ability to focus on what keeps you from being a wizard. Go to distractionquiz.com.
Interest in it whatsoever. And if they have zero, then
got to excite you, right? What I started to create was something I totally was not excited about. Like, I like the idea of it. So I thought, I'm going to create this community, this platform where people are going to share their cultural experiences. And I had the thought together, but when I thought about working on it, I was like, it was about writing. It was about a blog site. And I don't love writing. So I decided that wasn't going to be the vehicle, but I could just shift to something else and recognize, okay, I don't love that, but what is it that I do enjoy doing? And of course, I do love software. So I ended up making a piece of software that I deliver, which in a way that I feel has an impact on changing the way people behave. And then that leads to changing the culture, right? So that's my interpretation. And as long as I feel that energy and excitement around it, then I'm in the right place, right?
Yes. And you spoke to this point earlier when you said people, sometimes they know, but they don't do it.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why they don't do it, or why you and I don't do certain things, it's because, maybe you were all about the compassion, to go back to that example, but we're not all about the gaming app, or we're not software people, or we have zero interest in coffee mugs.
Right.
And so what happens is we allow outside sources to say, oh, well, you've got to do it this way, you got to do it that way, and this is the best way. But if that isn't what you're interested in, and especially if that's not where your skill set is, if you have zero interest in putting the cap of the pen on the pen, if you're required to do that, to bring your compassion and your essence out into the world, you're probably going to fail, because the life purpose that you've chosen, which is the delivery mechanism, how am I going to, like you said earlier, what action am I going to take? What am I going to do to fulfill my inner essence out into the world kind of thing? If you don't choose the right one, you're never going to do it. And that's why people come and say, oh, I'm really successful, I got lots of money, and I've got great customers, and I'm grateful that I have this thing, but there's something missing. And sometimes what the something missing is that they're not doing the thing that they want to do in the way they want to do it, or they're doing something successfully because they have a big team around them and they're doing all the work, and they maybe aren't really involved in their company. They just kind of manage it and go, way to go, good job, but they're not really in it kind of thing. And so it can be twofold. But I think if you really, really love what you're doing and it's coming from a place of, I love who I am, and I love who I am, and I'm bringing who I am out into the world in a way that I love doing it that way, that's where the magic is. And that's where the profitability and the viability is for entrepreneurs. And if you get those two pieces in place first to kind of bring it around to take back your time, if you spend your time figuring those two steps out first, who am I in my non-physical experience of self? How do I bring that out in the world? What do I do in a way that I just love doing it? I wake up in the morning and I think, oh my gosh, I get to do more of this stuff. Then you do take back your time. You have all of your time, because I think, and this is my perspective on what you teach in terms of taking back our time, it's really, how do I spend my time mostly on only what I love to do?
Yeah.
Rather than what really sucks. And
Yeah.
I don't really want to do this. And so
we get things done faster,
you
right?
do.
We get more creative about the way that we approach things. So it brings out the best in us, which means that we're more efficient and effective in doing it.
I agree. And whether I have clients that have careers as well as entrepreneurs and executives who have careers, they maybe don't own the company, but they're an executive. And the ones that are late for work never are the ones that love what they do.
Yes.
The ones who love what they do are the first guys there and the last to leave. And Jay Leno was like that. Jay Leno made the big money, and he always said that your staff doesn't mind if you're making more money than they are, so long as you are literally or figuratively the first one in the morning and the last one to leave at night. They don't care, because you're putting everything you have into your life and they're helping you. So it's a different, again, you get into conversations about personalities and different thinking styles and all that kind of thing. Not everybody is a leader in that capacity. But yeah, it really comes back to taking back your time. It's kind of all of our time, regardless of what we spend doing it. But in the context, I think that you teach it, and I've been to your workshops. I think they're amazing and great and so truly lovingly delivered, and the information is there and it's understandable, and it's really, really, really great for people who think right brain, left brain, whatever it is. It all comes out perfectly. Right. It really is about, hey, we have all of our time, but it's really take back our time is all about, what are you spending your time doing, as we're saying, and have it be the thing that you love to do and love to do it and make money doing it. And the making money part really comes with the final step, which is once you have your life purpose, and we're going to go into the software business as you did. It's like, okay, well, now let's have a strategy. What kind of software? What's our market going to be? Who do we bring in as alliance partners, and all of that other strategy stuff, and then sequence it. Once you do the download, the brain dump, as some coaches would say, you get your brain dump done. Okay, now let's take all of the pieces of the puzzle and sequence them. What do I need to do in what order so that I can have my quickest, and again, time. I spend my time today, the next step, the most wisely, the most profitably. And that's usually the thing that helps people the most, the quickest. What's the first thing we need to do to help somebody and to serve them with our software, in your example, or whatever we're doing in my career even.
Absolutely. And I think those 3 or 4, depending on whether strategy and sequence, are they on the same step, or are they?
Yeah, they're kind of the same. They are different, but I find strategy and sequencing really one without the other. Here's a good thing. It's a waste of time because you have to have both.
For sure.
You have to have both. People say, what's a strategy? Well, great, but you have to have the strategy with the sequencing. So yes.
Yeah, a great example that I use sometimes, and you can make a cake, and you can take all of those ingredients and you can put them all in a bowl and then put it in the oven and then take it out and mix it up. That doesn't work, right?
I remember that from your workshop.
You can use all the different steps, but if you're using them in the wrong sequence, then you're not going to get the result that you're looking for. So sequencing is really important, but you also, like you said, have to have that clear direction.
Right. And the strategy is really, in your analogy, all of the ingredients of the cake. It's all there, and we're going to put all these things together and we're going to get a cake, and that's the strategy. But now, as you say, and I love that. I'm so glad you brought that up on this call, because it was one of my favorite things when you said that. I thought,
oh, really cool.
Oh, yeah. Right. I was sitting going, yes, that's a perfect example, because it really helps people who have never done business before. They're a new entrepreneur. They're like, they have no association experientially to sequencing in an entrepreneurial business world, but they sure have been in the kitchen. And whether,
right?
Yeah, you could do the same thing with making eggs. You can cook the scrambled eggs first and then crack them open and mix them all up in the bowl. Same thing. It's not going to be scrambled eggs. And
right.
So I love that. That's a beautiful example. And
Yeah.
I've got to remember that one this time now. That was one of my favorite ones.
It's the portions, right? Like you said, this strategy could be the ingredients, but it's how much of each thing, right? It's understanding that a dash of this and a bit of that. And so your eggs might be your marketing, but if you go ahead and you market, but you don't have some of the other pieces that you need together, like a clear definition of your target audience, right? Then you're wasting money. And you're not going to get the results. So it's the same kind of thing. It's like forgetting an ingredient and not putting them in the right sequence that's going to have an impact.
Exactly. Yeah. And for your customer base and mine, and maybe for your audience, being mostly entrepreneurs, I would say, it takes away so much of the struggle and you save so much time if you do those things first. Who am I inside as a human being? What's my experience? How am I going to express that in service to others? And then, okay, now that I know how I'm going to do it, software, whatever, do exactly what you said. Take all of the ingredients of the cake, put them all out on the counter, and then with the team, if necessary, figure out what ingredient to put in the bowl first. Do we put, and I know this, I don't know how, I guess my mom taught me to bake, but put the dry ingredients in first.
Right. You mix those together and then you mix the wet together.
Yeah. Then you don't get clumpy cake.
Right.
And just do that in life. And it really is key, the work that you're doing in the world in terms of time, because time goes by really, really, really quickly. And sometimes when you're in your 20s and 30s, you don't realize. But I have a lot of clients that come to me that are 40s, 50s, even 60s. And again, it's what I said earlier. I'm really grateful and I've got lots of money and I love the impact that my company has, but there's something missing in my life and I don't know what it is. And it really is that component of what's the essence of who you are, and is that being expressed out in your work
right
into the world? And if it's not,
the way that makes you happy.
The way that makes you happy, exactly. And if it's not, there's going to be an empty place there. And eventually it comes. And when you're younger and you're making the money, and I made money doing stuff that wasn't really my thing, and it's great and you pay the bills, but I don't think it creates wealth over time, because eventually I think you crash and burn. You just can't sustain it because it's not what you want to do.
Right. Well, it doesn't create fulfillment, right? And if you look at wealth as not just financial wealth, but health and abundance of heart and relationships, right? If you look at it in total, then it's not going to create that fulfillment.
Exactly. And for me, and you know this about me, relationships is the very, 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 very first thing. And it can work if the financial wealth building is your thing. And so anything that does that quicker, better, faster, as the marketing, then that's great. But you know what? I'm telling you, because I have partners and friends that are in their 70s and one in his early 80s. Eventually, they got all this wealth building stuff, and then eventually they get to a place where they're like, yeah, you were right. It's really not about that at all. They think it is.
Right.
But as time, and this is apropos to the conversation, as time goes by and we spend our time on the things that we think are meaningful and purposeful, time will go by and catch up with us, as the cliche goes, and you're 70 or 80 and you're going, what the hell did I do that for? Why didn't I do something meaningful and purposeful and really look into that? Because they can't take back that time now because they're 80.
That's right. And that's a perfect lead in, because we're at the end of our show.
Beautiful.
Perfect lead into how can people get a hold of you so that they can start that process. If they feel like they're empty or they feel like they're missing something or they're looking for that, how do they get in touch with you?
Wow, I didn't know you were going to do this for me. Thank you. Well, my website is easy to remember. It is keithwayne.com. If they want to go there and check it out, it's WAYNE for Wayne, keithwayne.com. Or if you just want to do an email thing, it's keith@keithwayne.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. It was, as always, a great conversation.
Thank you. And how many years have we talked about doing some kind of work together?
Yeah, a couple years, right? So
speaking of time passing.
Waiting so long, right? I'm sure there's more things coming.
It's perfect. And thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Great. And to you listening, thank you for being here and investing your time in ways that you can be more strategic in how you approach your time. And there's nothing more strategic than getting to the heart of what drives you. And so when you do that first and you build from there, you're only going to build success, build fulfillment, and do things, as I said earlier, faster, more creatively, and be more fulfilled in doing it. And as we said earlier, and make more money. So that's the way that you're going to take back time as we relate it in this episode. My name is Penny Zanker, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening. Today's topic is another opportunity for you to put the knowledge you learned into practice. Tune in again next week for more strategies that will help you have more energy and focus to get more done in less time, so you can continue to take back time.